Let's go to one of the big positions that Gator Nation's out there wondering about, and that is the wide receiver position. A good haul last cycle for the Gators. Now the coaching change kind of to deal with. Kerry Colbert out, Billy Gonzalez back in. Before we get into specifics, maybe with some players and maybe some targets, what's been the general feeling on the change from Colbert to Billy Gonzalez?
I think it's been very good and better than I thought it was going to be. And I say that just because, guys like Jeremiah Smith and a lot of these kids, even Chance Robinson before he committed to Miami, Colbert was one of the main reasons why Florida was kind of still on their radar, or Florida, why they were in their top group. Those relationships are very strong. So, once he departed for the NFL, it was kind of a wait and see just to see, who's going to be coming in. And, with Billy Gonzalez, you have some kids that are familiar with him, and some kids that weren't. But the kids that did meet him and did come on campus since he's been hired, the reviews have been very, very positive. A lot of, like you said, when you have the opportunity to sit with these kids for the first time, you name guys like Percy Harvin, a lot of the guys he's coached. Some of these youngsters probably just weren't aware of that, and that's a very big eye opener for them. So it's been a strong review since he's been in there. And then, Jeremiah Smith, he's already visited since Billy Gonzalez has been on board. DJ Lagway was in town as well. So I think it's been as good as it gets. They're in the mix for several wide receivers right now with Jeremiah Smith, which I think is obviously unlikely, but he's still the biggest fish out there as far as a prospect, elite prospect that's still visiting Florida at the receiver position.
Yeah, so let's get a little bit deeper here at this position, Corey, and just how this position looks right now. Of course, you mentioned DJ Lagway in the fold, him reaching out to a lot of these receivers out there, and just wondering what this traction is out there for some of these wide receiver prospects. You just mentioned Jeremiah Smith, and of course, he's certainly the top target. But where do the Gators sit for targets like TJ Moore, Mario Craver, maybe even a Michael Turner right now? It seems Florida's in good shape for those guys, but there's Georgia commits out there. Nycar, Nitro Tuggle, Jazasa Trader is another target out there. But there's plenty more out there. But it seems like that group, that name has garnered the most interest from the fan base out there. So if you had to maybe even put on some prediction goggles a bit, when do you see the first wide receiver maybe popping for the Gators? And if one they can build off of a pretty good class last time as well.
I think here in the next month or two. Jariah Hawkins at IMG, he has Florida and Penn State in his top two. West Virginia is in there as well. He hails from West Virginia, goes to IMG Academy, but I think Florida's in a really good spot for him. TJ Moore, obviously on Tampa Catholic, boasts one of the best, offer sheets, I think, across the country when it comes to receiver. I still think he's very underrated. Florida right now is his leader. Before he actually went public and said Florida was his leader, he said, Florida's in my top two with another school that really blew me away when I went on visits this spring. We still don't know what school that is yet because we wanted to keep that private, but I think the most important thing fans really want to know is where's Florida stand? And, they're sitting at the very top with him. So, and then you have Michael Turner, who's recently offered, another kid out of the Southeast, very speedy type kid. I think overall, Florida, like you said, it's a deep wide receiver board. And either way, I think Florida's going to sign a really good class. I think TJ Moore, he doesn't seem like the type that wants to drag his recruitment out too long. I think getting a guy like him and obviously in the fold would be huge with DJ Lagway. And you think, I know I had a lot of fans reach out to me asking, are you surprised they haven't got one of these receivers in the fold yet? And I'm really not. It's just the amount of kids that have visited. It's just about getting them to campus. And, Mario Craver's another kid that's been mentioned. I was told in recent weeks that he's kind of more of a plan B for Florida right now. Florida really likes him. It's been mostly Florida and Auburn. Those have been the schools mentioned the most. But I know there are a few other guys a little bit higher on the board right now. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see if, Florida kind of gives him the green light if he does want to come to Gainesville. So either way, you got to be pretty optimistic if you're a Florida fan. A lot of options and a lot of kids who have the Gators, right at the very top of their list.
Yeah, Corey, I heard the same about Craver, and heard it's probably now a little more likely than it was at one point. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to see the timeline of some of these other guys and if that's going to affect the path there for one Mario Craver. So yeah, a lot of interesting storylines at that position for sure.
No, for sure. And that's what I think, too, right now with Florida. You're already ranked inside the top five. It's a momentum game. And I think it was just like last year where before the summer, a lot of people were like, well, why haven't these guys jumped on board? June is now the key month for and when it comes to, hey, am I ready to make a decision, or am I going to drag this out into the fall? And you kind of saw how the dominoes fell last summer with a lot of kids deciding. So Florida already has one of the best recruiting classes. They're trending up for so many kids. And I think here in June, when, as like last year, you know, they hosted so many official visitors, you'll start to see who's really serious about the Gators and who isn't. And I think overall, I think fans are going to be pretty pleased with how the summer plays out for Florida.
Want more Gators Breakdown? Join Gators Breakdown Plus. Starting at $3 a month, get access to unique episodes, plus a blog, chat room, giveaways, shout-outs, and more. Gators Breakdown Plus is furthering the interaction with fans and listeners like you. Head to gatorsbreakdown.supportingcast.fm to join Gators Breakdown Plus today.